Good boy. Good boy, Maxie. Yeah, it's a good boy. Hey everybody, Prepper Nurse 1 here. Today is Friday, April 19th, 2019. There's Mr. Lucy. Yeah, it's a good boy, Luce. It's a good boy, Luce. Maxie going in. Max is in, and there's the babies. Nope, stay in there. You're not coming out. Luce, you're gonna go in. Look at those faces. What? What? Okay, watch out. Alright guys, I'm sorry about that. Weird day so far. It's like rained twice and stopped again. We're supposed to get more rain. I just kind of wanted to show you first before we get into the topic. I brought all the rest of the wood over from the center area. So a bunch of it's there, a bunch of it's here. So show you there. I got it all stacked up here and ready to rock and roll. So when it's time for splitting, got a little bit of wood to split here, huh? But it clears this whole area off up now. I mean, there's a couple things I got to pick up here and there, but that can all go on a burning pile. But so then the next thing is when I have Bill come in and pull these stumps out, and we'll get them out of here. And that'll be a nice area that's going to be, for the solar panels and eventually greenhouses and stuff like that as well. So nice open area. So very mild today. Like I said, it was raining earlier, stopped, started raining again, and stopped again, and now the sun's out again. So very strange day. Okay, so I wanted to talk about how much does it cost to move off grid. So obviously, anybody that has watched my channel for any length of time knows. In June, we have been off grid for 4 years. Okay. So there's a lot of different channels out there saying it costs this much to go off grid, or you could go off grid for this much, or those type of things. And realistically, guys, everything comes down to two factors. First of all, depending on where you are, where you want to be as far as off grid, and wants and needs. So that's always comes down to wants and needs. So let's talk about price of land to start with. Again, it depends on how much land you're looking to acquire. What was that? That was weird something. Depends on how much land you're looking to acquire. So if you're 3 to 5 to 10 acres, I mean, depending on what part of the country you are and those type of things, the cost of land is going to vary greatly. You can pay probably as little as $2,000 an acre, up to $5,000 an acre or more. It depends really where you want to be. And here is one of the kittens. This is Gelko. He's getting big already. I love his coloring. Look at that coloring on his coat. It's really, really pretty. He's a real pretty cat. It's a good cat too. So anyway, sorry. My animals always are a distraction. But so the cost of land is going to vary as far as that goes. Then it comes down to, first of all, if you have children or not have children. Okay, so if you have children and you want to go off grid, you got to be really careful with that because people are going to screw with you. That's just the bottom line. I'm just telling you from personal experience. People are going to try to cause you problems. And because a lot of people, they don't get the whole off-grid thing. A lot of people think when you say that you live off-grid, that you live up in the hills in a shack with no running water and no power. And that's the farthest thing from the truth that it could be. So if you do have children and you're looking to go off-grid, you're going to need to make sure you have a place for the children to sleep. Obviously, they need to have that roof over their head, a place to go to the toilet. So that can be anything from a composting toilet to, full septic. It depends on, where you're at and what the rules and the laws are where you're going to be, okay? Also, you need to make sure that there's, you have a refrigerator and, the kids can take a shower and those type of things. So, if your kids are clean and they're healthy and they're happy, you know, really there's not a whole lot that people can do. There's a whole lot of worse things going on as far as that goes. So, like, you want to cover those bases? Here's a great way to do it right here, guys. A camper. We started out in the camper when I have had CPS called on me twice. The first 2 years that we were here, once each year. And we started out in the camper, and the first time that they were called on us, we had just got the building. It was in October of that year, and we were working on renovating the building to turn it into our home. It's a 14 by 40 lofted barn, okay, and we converted it into our home. So when the CPS worker came out, and you know, we had everything needs wise met with the camper. So I explained what we were doing with the building, and that we were working on renovating that, and we were staying in the camper until the building was ready. Basically, she saw that the kids were clean, they were healthy, they had clean clothes on, they had plenty of food to eat. So, you know, she was actually the first chick that came out, was very, very cool. The second guy that came out the second year, we were already in the house, and so when he came out, the complainant, who's, you know, of course they always say that they're anonymous, but I'm sure the first time, I guarantee it was my ex-wife. Guarantee it was my ex-wife the first time. The second time, I absolutely believe it was somebody following my YouTube channel, because they were saying we had no potable water and no septic. So they came out the second time. I showed them everything. The guy was, you know, like questioning my kids, and they were like, you know, searching basically for something, and there was nothing. So, you know, we got cleared that way too. So you need to be really, really careful if you have kids going off grid. Having a camper, it covers your bases, and there's nothing that they can do, okay? Because a camper has a toilet, it has, you know, the septic that can be emptied. You have, you know, if you have a water hookup, you'll have water, the whole 9 yards. They have a place for the kids to sleep. You know, they can't do anything, okay? So be careful on that aspect. So now you're going to be looking at power, okay? Now, if you want to be grid tied, that is going to be perfectly up to you if that's what you want to do. You know, but if you're going to go off grid, obviously solar is a way to go. Okay, solar is not cheap. Okay, so people have asked me, what do I have into my solar system? I probably, if I sat down and crunched all the numbers, right around $15,000 into my solar system. It's in that range. It's not cheap, guys. It's really not cheap, but it's well worth it in the long run, because if the grid goes down, I'm still going to have power, as long as it's not an EMP. When there's a storm or a power outage, we still have power. So that's a really awesome benefit of that. We do have storms up here that happen. Every winter there's power outages up here. We never know about them because we always have power. So, you know, you're going to have to, and again, so how much solar is enough? Okay, so right now, with what I have up here right now, is 3,120 watts. I have another 3 panels, 3 more 300 watt panels. When we're going to be doing our upgrades this year, those new panels are going to be going in as well. So we'll be at 4,020 watts at that point, and then we're going to kind of see how we go from there. But like I said, again, with solar, it comes down to wants and needs. Because I have children in this generation, the children want to be online. They want to have access to stuff like that. So, you know, I wanted to make their life as comfortable as possible and as normal as possible. I do not have TV up here. So, you know, but it's like, what's enough solar? Now, enough solar for me, that's probably, if it was just me, this is more than enough solar for me that I have right here, right now. But it's not just me. So I had to, you know, think about the children. I probably could have gotten away with 1,500 watts of solar if it was just me. But because I'm thinking of my kids, they wanted more juice so that we had more power. So I've accommodated that, and that's something that you have to take into consideration as well. So again, if you're a single person by yourself, you don't need a great big place. You don't need a 14 by 40 lofted barn. You can buy a small place, a small building, you know, from one of the places that they sell the buildings, you can get a building for, $5,000. So, you'd pay payments for like 3 years, and that's how you would do that. There is an expense to everything. Then you have to insulate it and wire it up and that type of thing. If you do have children, then obviously you're going to need, a bigger place. They have buildings that are 2 stories tall, so you can do that as well. It really, guys, a lot of it comes down to wants and needs. Now, is it cheap to go off grid? In my opinion, absolutely not. There is a lot of expenses that are out there that you're going to incur that you didn't expect to incur, and everything costs money, unfortunately. So, what we have tried to do here at the homestead, we do everything, cash. I don't go into debt for anything. The only thing I went into debt for, if you will, was the building. But it was 3 years for the building. So I had payments for 3 years. We actually paid the building off earlier than the 3 years. So, that's already long since paid for. With the land, I paid cash for the land. So, that was a good thing right away. So I didn't have to worry about that. So basically what I have to worry about now every year is taxes. So as long as I pay my taxes, I have no issues. Obviously, there's always upgrades. There's always things you're going to be working on. Again, wants and needs. What do you want? What do you need? And your needs need to come first, and then your wants goes on that list after that. So like I said, the cost of going off grid. Realistically, I mean, you can buy a land, you can buy land on payments if you want to. I mean, you can't, most banks are not going to give you a mortgage on a vacant piece of property. So you can't really do that. So you would have to go with a private mortgage with the land owner and buy it from them. That's actually what I did here. I started out with payments with the lady. I gave her so much down and was making payments, and we had a 3-year arrangement that way too. And she ended up coming to me after a year and a half, and she was in some financial difficulties, and we ended up settling on an amount to finish off paying what I owed, and I ended up not having to pay as much as I had to because I gave her a lump sum at that point and ended up paying off the land at that point. But like I said, again, those things are all, they're out there, it's workable, you can do it, okay? A lot of people don't have a lot of money to work with. A lot of people are going paycheck to paycheck, Well, the way I always looked at it is like this. When you're paying a big mortgage payment, or you're paying a large rent every month. Like I got a buddy of mine that lives in Maryland. He's paying $1,000 a month for rent for a 1-bedroom apartment. So he'll never own that. And there's 12 grand a year out the door for nothing. So if you buy a piece of property, and you have, like, say, if you do a land contract type of thing, have that payment, buy yourself a building, again, on a payment, that's still going to be cheaper if you did that. I mean, like, I know for our payment for the building here was $460 a month, okay? And the way I looked at it, where am I going to go and live for $460 a month? And again, it wasn't a forever thing. It was a short-term thing, not a 30-year mortgage. We were looking at 3 years, and I paid it off sooner than 3 years. So it's a very, very doable thing, guys. And so, you're working, you're still doing what you always do, but now that money's going into something that you're actually going to own that has substance, that's not just going out the door for nothing all the time. So those are the things that you want to think about. And if you're willing to work at stuff and sacrifice a little bit in the beginning, looking at the big picture down the road, look at where you're going to be and what you're going to accomplish, it's really a doable thing. I mean, when we first moved up here, okay, I'm going to tell you honestly, and I've said this in other videos before, I told my kids right in the very beginning, I said, the first 2 weeks up here are going to suck. I said, I'm telling you right now, just so you guys know, the first 2 weeks are going to suck. I go, but I promise you it will get better. And one of the first things we did is we set up the solar system. That's what we started out with, and we didn't have a huge solar system when we started out. And, again, that's another thing that's a work in progress. So you find out what works, what doesn't work. The best thing you can do if you are looking to go off grid, guys, talk to somebody that has been off grid, that knows the deal, They're not going to steer you wrong on how to set up a solar system. They're just not going to do it because they don't want to see you go through the same mistakes that they went through. Don't throw money away, because when you go cheap, that's what happens. You throw money away. So even though it may take a bite and it may hurt, it's better to go ahead and spend the money up front, because I tell you right now, if you don't and you go cheap, you're going to have to replace that equipment down the road with the more expensive equipment anyway. So it's better to bite the bullet the first time and do it right. But so going off grid, how much does it cost? It varies, from, like I say, state to state, depending on what the rules are, what the laws are. It depends on from county to county in each state. I mean, one county you may be able to do something, in another county you aren't. So the further away from the really populated areas that you are, the more free you're going to be able to have to pretty much do what you want to do, okay? You're going to have a lot more leeway. If you're trying to do off-grid in suburbia, it's not going to work, because a lot of these towns have laws that are going to restrict you from doing that, okay? There's a big thing against the tiny house movement now, okay? So a lot of places are not going to allow you to have that tiny house. So the farther out you get from the cities, from the towns, and you get out more in the country, a lot more freedoms out there. You're going to have great neighbors, which is going to make a big difference as well too. A lot of good people in the country, guys. So I just wanted to kind of go over that a little bit. Going off-grid is very doable. You don't have to have a ton of money down to start out with. That's one thing that I really think scares a lot of people away from doing it. But you can do it if you're willing to make those payments, but you got to look at the big picture. 30-year mortgage versus 3 years, or whatever. Like I said, I had the land contract originally was for 3 years. We paid it off early. I had the original building payment was for 3 years, and we paid that off early. And again, I couldn't have lived anyplace else cheaper than living here, working on stuff as we did it. When I bought this camper, I bought the camper ahead of time. We had it down here on the property before we moved down here, because that way at least we had some place to go to start out with. And that's exactly what we did. We started out, guys, with that camper and that building. And that building is the shop. The roof doesn't leak. It looks like crap, but the roof doesn't leak. And it's still probably, in the long run, I probably should just tear it down in the long run, but it's a good storage building, and that's what I use it for. So, and it has the battery room in there as well. So just kind of wanted to go over those things. I know I'm rambling on here, but I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your feedback on this, because I think it's kind of important. If you want to do this lifestyle, it is very, very doable. You can do it. If you want help, if you want to talk, give me a call. I am always available. I talk to people all the time. I want to help people, because this is the way to go. Get your freedom. Stop being a slave to the system. And this is one way of doing it. You're never going to get away from taxes, but you can make your life better. You can lower your expenses. You can take that stress out of your life. And that's a really important thing, guys. Okay, so I'm going to jump off here from now. Remember, guys, and look for me tonight in the live chat. You'll see me tonight, 8 o'clock tonight in the live chat. Remember, guys, we are all in this together. That's important to remember. Remember, hug and kiss the ones you love. Tell them every single day. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. And remember STD, guys. It's one step at a time, one thing at a time, and one day at a time. Whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to accomplish, you can do it. The only one that's going to stop you from getting there is yourself, okay? Quick shout out to Marfugel. He just hit 100,000 subscribers yesterday on one of his channels. He has 3 channels. Go over, check him out, subscribe. Great channel, a lot of good information. Really, really good guy, okay? So, we're in this together, guys. Let's try to help each other out, okay? I will talk to you all later. Prepper Nurse 1, out for now.